He sold screws and nails for 35 years in the same small-town hardware store, never talking about anything but tools and weather. Customers knew him as Quiet Joe, just another old man counting inventory. But when a young veteran browsed his back office and spotted the framed photo on the dusty shelf, everything changed. 8 men in desert camouflage, faces painted, weapons ready. And there in the center, a younger version of the store owner, who never mentioned he'd been to war. Before we dive into this powerful story of secrecy and forgotten courage, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button. Miller's Hardware had been sitting on Main Street in Platte River, Nebraska since 1962. Creaky wooden floors, metal shelves packed with bolts and screws, flickering fluorescent lights. But for 40 years, this had been the heart of the town. Joe Miller had been running the store since 1987, 58 years old, graying hair, shoulders slightly stooped but his posture still steady. Every morning he opened at 7, every evening he closed at 6. The townspeople loved Joe but wondered about him. Nobody knew where he came from. No family, no close friends. He just worked his store, lived in his small house, never bothered anyone. "What screws do you need? This should work for you. Good day." Nobody had ever heard him speak more than 3 words at a time, but in the back office of the store there was a shelf nobody ever saw. On it sat a dusty picture frame, face down, as if deliberately hidden. It was a cold March day when Marine Corporal David Chen walked into the store. 24 years old, 2 tours in Afghanistan completed, now working on his father's farm. "Looking for truck parts, for an '05 Ford F-150. Joe nodded. "Got some in back storage, give me a minute." David examined the store while Joe went to storage. The organization was too precise, tools in perfect order. This wasn't casual arrangement, this was military precision. "Oil filters in the back office," Joe said. "Let me show you." When David entered the office, he noticed everything was perfectly organized, papers stacked at perfect angles, pens in straight lines, and in the corner shelf a dusty picture frame. He was curious. While Joe worked at the file cabinet, David carefully lifted the frame. His heart stopped. 8 men in desert camouflage, faces painted, weapons ready. Iraqi desert, 1991 date stamp visible, and in the center, 25 years younger but unmistakable, Joe Miller, wearing a Navy SEAL uniform. "What are you doing?" David turned. Joe was standing behind him, face tense. "Sir, this is you." Joe's expression changed. "Put it down." David gently placed the frame back. "Sir, you're a SEAL." Long pause. "Was." Joe closed the office door and sat down. Long silence. "How did you know I was military?" he asked. "Organization, precision, the way you move," David explained. "Marines, 2 tours Afghanistan." Joe's expression softened. "Recognition between warriors." 1991, Operation Desert Storm. SEAL Team 2, Joe said, looking at the photo. David felt honored to be trusted with this information. "Sir, how many ops?" "Classified. Most still are." Joe placed the frame face down again. "Why a hardware store, with your background?" Joe paced the small office. "I came back in '91, different world. Special operations are different. Classified missions, black ops, things you can't talk about. Ever. Transition to civilian life was hard. People want to know your background, your story, but you can't tell your story. So I became a hardware store owner. Simple job, simple life, no personal questions." "Sir, but wasn't it lonely?" David asked. "Better than the alternative. Lying, making up stories. This way, I just don't talk about the past." David clearly wanted to hear more. Joe decided to break 30 years of silence. One mission, January 1991. Intelligence suggested an Iraqi chemical weapons warehouse near Basra. Joe pulled out an old map from his drawer. 8-man team. Insert by helicopter, night operation. Everything went wrong. Helicopter mechanical failure. Forced landing 15 miles from target. Radio damaged. Iraqi patrol discovered the crash site. Joe traced the route on the map with his finger. Mission became survival. 8 men, limited ammo, no communication, enemy territory. During extraction, we encountered a lost army unit. 5 soldiers surrounded by an Iraqi patrol. What did you do? What SEALs do? We adapted. Mission changed from recon to rescue. You don't leave Americans behind. Joe stood up, the memory vivid. Firefight lasted 6 hours. 3 of our guys wounded, 2 Army soldiers wounded. But we got everyone out. Commandeered an Iraqi vehicle, drove to friendly lines. Sir, that's incredible. That's the job. Nothing incredible about it. Sir, David said, maybe the town people would understand if you told them. Joe was skeptical. People want heroes to be simple. Special operations. We operate in gray areas. Sir, respectfully, maybe you're underestimating people. Nebraska farmers respect hard work, honesty, loyalty. Those are military values too. David made a suggestion. VFW meeting Thursday nights. Local veterans gather. Maybe you'd consider joining? Joe immediately refused. Too many questions. Sir, veterans don't ask questions. We understand privacy. The following Thursday, Joe found himself at the American Legion.
Frank Peterson, Vietnam veteran.
Joe, come on in.
Conversations resumed. Joe listened. These men talked about farming, weather, local politics. Military service was mentioned carefully, respectfully. Bill Watson approached.
You serve?
Joe hesitated.
Navy, long time ago.
Bill nodded.
Respect, brother.
No pressure, no follow-up questions. Months passed. Joe occasionally attended VFW meetings. Customer interactions became longer. People began coming to him for advice, consultation, expertise. Joe updated his window display. Veteran owned, serving community since 1987. Not a detailed explanation, just simple acknowledgement. Today, Miller's Hardware still serves the community. Joe found a way to serve again, using his skills, experience, and knowledge to help people solve problems. In his office, the picture frame now sits upright, 8 men in desert camouflage. No longer hidden, but not displayed prominently either, just acknowledged. Joe learned that you can honor your past without living in it. You can maintain security without isolating yourself. Real warriors adapt. They find new missions, new ways to serve. Real heroism isn't about recognition, it's about service. And service can happen anywhere, anytime, in any form. So now I ask you, have you ever met someone like Joe? Someone who served quietly, hid their past, but continued contributing to their community? Share their name in the comments. If you liked this story, subscribe and share.